Today we're going to make stroganoff, slow cooker style. For this recipe, we're going to need 2 pounds of beef, any boneless cut will do, a 22-ounce can of cream of mushroom soup, 16 ounces of sliced mushrooms, 1 cup of sour cream, a 1/4 cup of white wine, a small onion, a teaspoon and a half of Worcestershire sauce, 5 cloves of minced garlic, a teaspoon and a half of each salt and dried parsley, a tablespoon of each flour and dried chives, a half a teaspoon of black pepper, and 3 bouillon cubes. In addition, we're also going to need a 1/4 cup of water that isn't being shown. First, we're going to put about 3 tablespoons of the cream of mushroom soup in the slow cooker, and then we're going to put the uncut beef on top of that. I do this to make cleaning the pot easier after dinner, as I found that putting meat directly on the crock pot tends to be tougher to clean. We're then going to put the rest of the soup on top of the beef, followed by black pepper, salt, chives, parsley, Worcestershire sauce, garlic, and bouillon cubes. This is the first time I've ever made this dish without cutting up the beef beforehand, so I wanted to start early. Because I started so early on a weekend, I didn't even bother with my shoes. I didn't realize my bare feet would be caught in the shot, so my apologies on that. Next, we're going to dice up the onion and put that in the crock pot. Then we're going to toss the sliced mushrooms in, followed by the 1/4 cup of water. But I did the water differently. I swished the water around in the can of cream of mushroom soup to try and collect some of the remnants that were sticking to the can. The part after that is where things get really interesting, and it's really the only important part regarding the order of ingredients. Take the 1/4 cup of white wine and add it to a shaker bottle. Then add the tablespoon of flour and shake it up really well and pour it over the rest of the ingredients. If you don't mix the flour really well, you're going to get clumpy bits in your sauce. Once everything is in the slow cooker, put the cover on and set it to high for at least 8 hours. I made sure to grab shots every 2 hours so that you can see how the meal progressed. I also started mixing it up at about 4 hours to see how tender the meat was. And at 8 hours, the meat was mostly tender enough to shred just by mixing it up, though there were still a few big pieces. The actual 8-hour shot was only 1.5 minutes long, so it didn't take long to mix it up. I also had 3 hours until dinner at this point, so I turned it down to low. An hour before dinner time, I once more stirred the stroganoff up to break up any remaining big pieces of meat, and then I mixed in the sour cream. If you want to use fresh parsley instead of dried parsley, you can add it with the sour cream instead of at the beginning, but that's entirely up to you. A half an hour later, I started cooking the rice. 1 part rice to 2 parts water and a splash of olive oil. Bring it to a low simmer and simmer it for 15 minutes. The dish really did turn out well, and I'm excited to see what other recipes I can improve using what I learned in this recipe. This really was easy to make, and I still have some leftovers in my freezer that I'm looking forward to. If you enjoyed the video, be sure to like and subscribe. Join us next week for red chicken chili. I think it tastes pretty good.
No, it does.
In fact, it tastes pretty much the same as it did last week.
Yeah. Reheating is fine. And, I mean, personally, I'm not going to put a pinch more salt on it, but I'm very happy with it. I know, right?
I almost think I feel like it's just right. I can taste the salt just fine. But
different people have different tastes. So, I mean, there are some people out there who literally cannot eat cilantro or anything along that line because it tastes like soap to them.
I know.
I never knew that until I talked with a friend of mine and was like, she's like, yeah, I can't stand that. And then I realized that what I was eating was in the cilantro family, and it's tasted.